So guys, a very different day today weather-wise. Got up this morning 7 o'clock and it was absolutely bouncing down. So the particular job I'm working on is outside, so I decided not to go into work, and as sod's law is, it cleared up, and the forecast is still forecasting rain for most of the day, but at the moment it's very overcast and the sun is trying to break through. It's a pleasant 18 degrees, so quite nice motorcycling weather. So with the day off and a bit of time in hand, I decided to pull the DS out and go for a ride round some forest trails and round a lake and in the mountains, and show you guys what the terrain is like when we have a bit of the wet stuff. And it's still stunningly beautiful, and on the road coming down to this exit coming off into the forestry trails, I came round a bend and there was some Guardia Civil, which are like the police force if you like, on a corner, and I thought, oh, there's going to be a road stop and it's going to be an alcohol check or whatever. Anyway, as I got round the bend, there was a car on its roof, and he'd obviously hit the bend, gone a bit too fast, slipped, and over he went. Now the problem we have in Spain, especially in this region of Murcia, that it's so dry and we get so little rain every year. It's very, very dusty. The fields are very dusty, and if the wind gets up, you get a lot of dust blowing off the field, like a fine dust, and that goes onto the roads, and a bit of water on top of that, and it goes almost like clay. It's very, very slippy. So a lot of people don't take into account that the road is like that, and they just drive normally. In fact, really, I should be putting this down into road mode. I'm in sports at the moment, so I'll knock that down into I won't put it into rain, because it's not rain. I'll put it into road mode, give us a bit more traction on the traction control, damp it down a little bit. Yeah, so people generally don't realise that the roads are so slippy on top of the tarmac or the asphalt, and they take the bends at a normal speed, and obviously if it's an older car there's no traction control or ABS, the back end brakes loose, and the next thing they're on the roof. So yeah guys, a lot of us don't like riding in heavy rain. We know that there's less traction for the rear wheel, especially on roundabouts and very sharp bends, but on the whole, if you're wise to it and you take your time and you're aware of the road conditions and you've been riding a long time, you'll be aware that, you know, if you push it too hard, the back end can step out. But the modern bikes like this one that we've got now, you can actually put them down into rain mode, and that will ease the throttle right down, so you've got less chance of getting the back end breaking away. Just try and get past this guy on a bike. He's probably going as quick as I am actually. Yeah, you've got less chance of the back end breaking away on you then. And obviously if it does step out a little bit, the traction control kicks in pretty fast and pulls you back in line again. So a lot of safety precautions on these new bikes. Of course, if you go off-road on this bike and many others now, you can turn everything off. On this particular bike, it's just a case of putting it into enduro mode, and you've got no ABS and no traction control, so you can drift the back end or do pretty much what you want. Now, this is a fine example of how well the suspension is set up on the DSX 900, and this is very, very, very badly paved, and you can see my arms are wobbling a little bit, but you'll tell by my voice that the sharp jarring and the ruts and dips and bumps are not transferring through my body. So even though my foot are on the pegs and I'm sat on the seat, I'm not up off the seat, you can see the transference of the really rough terrain is not transferring in my voice. Now if I was on the Super Meteor, or even if I was on the Moto Guzzi, my voice would be quaking, because it would actually be going through my diaphragm and showing up on the microphone. So it shows what a fantastic job the suspension, and not only the suspension, I've had quite a few comments on the channel about the 21-inch front wheel on this, and people saying why can't they just put a 17-19 setup, 17 rear, 19 front with a cast wheel. Well guys, this is partly the reason because of that. If you're on a 19-inch front wheel on a cast rim, you'd get a lot more vibration through your body, you'd feel the bumps a lot more. A spoke wheel is designed to take more of the roughness out of the ride. It's got a bit more give in it than an alloy wheel. And the 21-inch front wheel, although it doesn't seem a lot to 19, when you compare them side by side, the 21-inch front wheel is a lot different, to be honest, to a 19. You can see a notable size difference straight away, and that's one of the reasons why most true off-road adventure bikes and dual sport bikes have a 21-inch front wheel. Is purely to help in the ride and getting over them bumps and ruts. Yeah, so this particular ride I'm riding now is it's a circuit that probably goes around 60 mile from our house and round the mountains and out the other side down the river valley. But it's a stunning section of ride this. We come past a man-made lake in a minute, and it's an embalsi, so it's to save water for drinking and irrigation, etc. So we'll cross over the dam in a bit and go round. But yeah, some stunning walking and mountain biking and road cycling around this area. There's some stunning routes around here. And of course in the summer people are down here picnicking and eating and barbecuing, where they're allowed to barbecue. It's a very dry country, so there are regulations for barbecuing. But there are certain areas that are provided for doing that. It's quite strange getting up to this section now. Everything seems to be totally dry here, as if they've had no rain whatsoever. A bit further down where I live, it's absolutely soaking wet. The roads are wet and slippy. But yeah, there's a few wet patches here, but looks like it's been a good while ago. Yeah, someone was saying on my channel the other day that they're very hard to get in the UK now, these Voge 900s, and someone was saying that the next two deliveries into the UK are already pre-sold, and the UK now, if you were to walk into a dealer a dealership for MotoGP, they're saying that the wait is something like 7 months to actually get one of these now. So a bit of a global phenomenon actually, guys, and they're out everywhere. I've just had a guy this morning who's commented, I think from Indonesia, the Philippines, that's right, and he's saying he's just collected one of the first 4 bikes into the Philippines, so they are going worldwide. I'm not sure about over towards America and Canada that way, but generally around the rest of the world they seem to be getting them out and about. So they're making a bit of a inroad into all the countries, and you can see this is the what they call an embalsi, and quite strange because last time I was up here a few months back, this was very low. The levels around the side were low, and as you can see now, it's not full, but it's quite high. Yeah, so stunning route, even though it's overcast. See the sun trying to peek through at the top there. And I think my microphone stopped, has it? No, it's not. So yeah, beautiful day for getting out on a ride. Even though I'm supposed to be working, and I'm a bit peeved off I've lost a day's work, but when there's motorcycling to be had, we take the chance. So yeah, some stunning big country here, guys. No fences, no boundaries. You can pretty much walk for miles and miles and miles. Very similar to Canada and parts of America. Again, a view there of the lake, and I'll pull up over here and show you the difference in the dam. It's quite incredible. So let's put this into neutral and get off the bike. So looking this side, you can see the height of the dam. Where they've dammed the water off. Now this is purely for retaining the water. I don't think it's to do anything else, because there's nothing down the bottom there. There's a few lights and a few small waterways. A couple of guys having almuerzo, or morning break, brunch. And stunning mountains, as you can see. Across the other side you can see what they've done. They've dammed that side to keep the water in this side. And yeah, a lot of water. I don't know if this part of the dam is hydroelectric. I can't see any facilities for that. There may be a pumping station there, this side of the mountain. But yeah, guys, I'm quite enjoying my ride, even though I'm not working and not earning. So, joys of being self-employed. You don't work, you don't earn. So the mountain, the other side of this now goes through a tunnel, and you start climbing back into the forest, and again some stunning landscape the other side. And I know a lot of you guys watch my videos for tips and tricks on this particular bike, but I know a few of you watch it to watch videos to see the landscape and the scenery. Some big machinery there, and a group of walkers. And I suppose this type of weather is superb for walking. It's up to 19 now, which is not cold, but it's a lot cooler than we're used to. I think there's a high of about 23 today, which is, what's that, high 60s? 67, 68 in Fahrenheit maybe, I don't know. And then later in the week, as this bit of a storm front passes over, the temperatures are creeping back up to about 27 again, which is really pleasant for autumn. And generally up to Christmas we get them sort of temperatures. We can often sit out and have Christmas lunch outside, and it can be 25 degrees and quite sunny and quite warm, you know. And I know I keep mentioning the 4.4 update, and the reason I keep mentioning it is that it really has changed the bike for the better, especially for like tootling like this. You're in a higher gear, and I'm only doing 2,000 revs now, and it's superb. I suppose again for city riding it makes a massive difference. So you can see the landscape is absolutely amazing. If I pull up, and I'm quite aware that I've got this quite low down on my helmet, the camera, so you're not going to see a lot, so I'm trying to get some of the landscape in here, and you can see the resemblance to parts of America and parts of California, and the water down the bottom there, and the mountains in the passes ahead that we're going to be coming up to are absolutely stunning. So this might be quite a long video if I don't edit it too much, so just skip through it if you're not enjoying the scenery or the landscape. An interesting fact on the landscape in this part of Spain, or further south, slightly further south, Almeria. I remember as a kid watching all the spaghetti westerns, and you know, the Indians would be along the top of a ridge, a mountain ridge, and the cowboys would be riding along the bottom, never knowing that most of the spaghetti westerns were filmed in Almeria, purely because it's one of the only deserts in Europe. Well, it is the only desert in Europe before you get over into Africa, obviously. And I never quite realised that the landscape I was watching was Spain, and it wasn't Texas or whatever, you know. But yeah, some of the rock formations are quite striking, and often on the camera, on the GoPro, or on the DJI that I'm using at the moment, depending what setting you've got it on. If you've got it on quite a widescreen setting, it flattens everything down, so you don't get the amazing height of the mountains, how they loom in front of you. And to be honest, this type of road that I'm on, it's a really, really rough road, but it's absolutely amazing on this bike. I mean, there are bad ruts and bumps, but I'm not getting any pain in my backside. It's super comfortable. I think a lot of people, when they get this bike, they first start riding it and they do think the saddle's uncomfortable, but after a couple of months, I suppose everything, like muscle memory, and when you're riding a mountain bike or a road pedal bike, when you first start riding it, your backside's as sore as heck, but it soon adapts, and maybe that's what's happened with this. But I find it a really, really comfortable bike to ride. Another good tip, it depends how you mess around with your suspension on the back of this. You've got a dial to dial it in for extra load if you're taking a pillion, or you're loading up your cases on the back. And when I first got it, I was noticing on a couple of bends with my wife on the back that we were hit, the centre stand was just touching. If we got into a severe dip on a bend, we were bottoming out on the centre stand, so I wound it up to more or less its hardest setting and then wound it back a few clicks, and that was great. But the only problem was it raised the bike about 2 inches, so what I was finding, even with my wife on the back, I was on the ball on my foot one side and then flat foot on the other side, and it made it for me, certainly at junctions and when I was manoeuvring it in a car park, I was putting my feet down, it made it a little bit tall, to be honest. And I've got a 31-inch inside leg. Again, that all depends on you know, how you sit on the bike and how you handle it, but it did make it tall for me. Anyway, because I've been out riding it a bit on my own, I decided to wind it all the way down as far as it would go to its softest setting, then crank it up about 4 clicks, which I've done. And now I sit on it and I can flat foot it both sides, and it's not really affected the ride, the handling or anything on the bends. Turning in on the bends is just as sharp as it was before. So yeah, big difference. It's worth noting, guys, if you're struggling to reach the ground and you're not going to carry a pillion on the back, on the dial on the back, wind it to the softest setting as far as it will go, and then wind it back up a few clicks. You should never have it on fully wound either way, but wind it back about 3 or 4 clicks, and you'll notice a massive difference in seat height. So we've come out the other side of the mountain range now, and you can see a few plains over to my left hand side. If I look over that way, it levels out a bit with some mountains in the distance, and that's heading inland towards Madrid. There's a long flat section in Castilla-La Mancha that's pretty flat plains, and then it's not until you get nearer Madrid that you start seeing mountains again. So this area that we're in along the coastal region here of Murcia, very mountainous inland, and some striking mountains and rock formations. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this ride out, and I hope you enjoyed riding along with me, and I'll carry on with my circuit and enjoy the ride. So I'll catch you in the next one, guys. If I think of any more tips and tricks, which I'm sure I will, and they'll become apparent as people let me know or I find out about them, I'll get them out to you. So ride safe, guys. Enjoy your bike. If you've got one of these, you're very fortunate the way things are looking, and I'm sure you'll embrace it as much as I've embraced mine and enjoy riding on it.